CPG's The Dish. I am the host, Jenna Mopsovitz. I'm the managing editor for Startup CPG's magazine, The Spotlight. And I am so excited to be joined by three wonderful guests today for our casual conversation on all things being in the startup CPG space. So I'm going to have you all introduce yourself, say your name, your brand or publication in the case of Monica, and where you are based. So let's start with Monica, and then we'll go to Shelly and then Melissa.
Okay, thanks for having me, Jenna. This is such a great program that you have here. So I'm Monica Watrous. I'm the managing editor of Food Business News and Food Entrepreneur based in Kansas City.
Amazing.
Hi, I'm Shelly Marshall. I am the owner, co-founder of True Scoops, and we're based in Brooklyn, New York.
Hi, I'm Melissa Tobin. I am the founder of 470 Baking Company. Sourdough crisps is our main product, and I'm based in Philadelphia.
Wonderful. And then, Shelly, let's go back to you. What is True Scoops?
So at True Scoops, we're all about bringing family and friends together in the kitchen and doing it creatively through ice cream. So we make a shelf-stable ice cream mix. Think about the last time you made your first batch of Betty Crocker or brownies or cookies. Now you can make your ice cream at home without the need of an ice cream maker, and it's all shelf-stable.
Wonderful. And then, Melissa, do you want to elaborate a little bit on the sourdough crisps?
Yes, of course. So 470 Baking Company is a sourdough goods company. And as I said before, our main product is Melissa's Sourdough Crisps. And they are sourdough crackers that are just deliciously craveable because of that sourdough goodness, the umami flavor from the sourdough. And then we add on flavors to really accentuate that sourdoughness. So we are pretty new to the startup CPG world and only launched about 6 months ago.
Amazing. Well, congratulations on your launch. We were talking backstage before this, and Monica and I have both tried your sourdough crisps while they were in their pre-packaging at Expo East last year, and we loved them. So that was a lot of fun. And I tried True Scoops, Shelly, last year for the shelfies when I was judging the shelfies, and it is such a fun and interesting product. So really excited to have you both on. And obviously Monica's one of the biggest supporters of startup brands. So we love having her on here to share her perspective from the journalist side of things. So we're going to kick it off with just a chill conversation, catching up of what founder life / journalist life is looking like right now. So first, I would love to hear just the best and worst part of your last week, and we'll go in the same order. So starting with Monica.
Okay, so I thought about this. I don't know if I really have any sort of highlights or lowlights, but I will say I've been working on with my colleagues on a snack trends webinar that's coming out in a couple of weeks. And so I've been kind of behind the scenes putting together the slides for that. And that's been really fun. I'm really excited to be able to promote some of my favorite emerging brands in the snack space. So I would say that maybe the best part of my week was working on that. And I don't have a worst part because everything's great.
You'll have to share the details about that webinar when you have them, because we would love to support. All right, Shelly, I feel like the founders usually have more of maybe the worst to offer.
The best part, sorry, that's my door. The best part of the week, I had been hounding this one particular corporate gifted customer for 2 years. Every single time I reached out, something was happening. Went on vacation, someone didn't come back, someone was on maternity leave. So finally, they replied to us and was like, oh, we love that idea. Let's see what we can do. So we're going to set up a meeting next week. But that was the highlight of my last week because I felt like I had been running after them for 2 years. The worst part, entrepreneurship, just being me. No, it's just hard because we're created a new category and it's hard to pitch it. It's hard to explain it. It's hard for people to see how they could make their own ice cream. So we're always in dog and pony show mode, trying to pitch and show and tell. So yeah, it's ongoing. The worst parts of my life is ongoing.
Yeah, the educational piece is definitely challenging when you're kind of creating your own category there. It's especially shelf-stable ice cream, definitely takes a second to wrap your brain around. I feel like people probably think astronaut ice cream. Does that happen a lot?
Exactly. Yeah. They're well, so what do I do? Freeze it and then I grind it up? I'm like, no, Shelby. You do not. It's you add it to a bowl with half and half, and you mix for 5 minutes, put it back into the pint, and that's it. They're like, oh, okay. But they could never understand how it works.
Yeah, carving out a category definitely has its own challenges. What about you, Melissa? How was your last week?
Yeah, so I think the best part of this past week is I've been doing a lot of sampling lately, and it's definitely like exhausting, but I think the best part is like when people come by and see my product and they say like, "Oh, I've already tried that. I really like it." Or when like people actually taste it and they're like, "Oh, wait, this is really good. I'm going to get some." So I think those sampling moments that like seem so silly that like are a big part of just getting product out there. But when people actually say, "Oh, I like it," and you're like sitting there in a grocery store for hours or standing in a grocery store for hours, it just feels really good. And so I've been really enjoying those moments recently. And then I think the worst part, it actually just happened. So I'm ramping up a lot of sales and with a local distributor now, which has been great. But we haven't gotten like an inventory tracking system together. And so I went out of stock in their warehouse, literally just got a message about it. So it's just like one of those things where it's good that things are selling, but then it creates other problems on the production side and making sure that you have enough and making sure that everything, even if you do have enough, that it's sitting in the right places. So, it kind of what Shelly was saying, like founder life, just like things always coming up, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a common twofold thing that's happening, like two double-edged sword thing that's happening with we want to be selling out, but then restocking is always a nightmare. And I feel like early on, especially, it's probably really hard to gauge what velocity will look like. So
Mhm.
what does that look like for you? How are you kind of figuring out what those numbers might look like so that next time that doesn't happen again?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm still very local to the Philadelphia area, and then direct to consumer is how I'm getting, and through fair, actually, I'm getting around the country a little bit. But basically, I'm wanting to partner a bit more closely with my distributor and just be on the same page with what our expectations are for inventory. Because right now we're a one-man show over here at 470 Baking Company, or one woman show, I should say. And so, as much as I can make a fair amount of product and have it stocked and be ready, because I am always paranoid about running out, I have to grow sustainably, and I don't want to overcommit to something that I'm not ready for. So, then this is very much one of my like pain points and struggles of what I'm working through right now, figuring out the production and how to scale it as I'm growing, but not too quickly. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's nice that you can have like a closer relationship with your distributor to work on that together. Because I feel like that might be one of the larger challenges too, is even like developing that relationship in the first place
Mm-hmm.
to work through that. So let's go to the next question, starting again with Monica. What is a challenge that you're currently facing, or actually for Monica too, what's a challenge maybe that you're seeing brands that you work with currently facing? And if possible, is there a connection that would help you with this, or someone in our community that might be able to help solve whatever challenge you're facing or you see someone facing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty pervasive across the industry that it's things are really tough right now in terms of getting funding, just managing margins, and really just kind of staying alive in a very challenging time. So I don't know what connections are available for that. I mean, I've seen a lot of success, and I know you've talked about it a lot through Startup CPG, like in the magazine, and Jesse talks about it on the podcast. But crowdfunding seems to be a pretty popular option right now for founders. So I guess that's my 2 cents. I mean, the challenges that I'm facing are a little different, but I would say, for me, the challenge is time management and finding enough time to write about all of the amazing brands that I'd like to write about, because there's so many of you and so little of me. So that's my current challenge.
That is a good problem to have in a way.
Yes.
And I would also argue that you are one of the solutions to the problem that you presented because one of the best things that can happen for a brand is to be written up in a publication like Food Business News or Food Entrepreneur. So I think you shouldn't undersell that you are maybe one of the more valuable connections that some of the brands in our community can have. So Shelly, let's move on to you. What are some of the challenges you're currently facing?
Well, I go back to that first the category piece. It's like a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about the curse part. Like being first in anything, it's super hard, especially with no investor funding. And so we're finding ourselves really spending our time educating our customers, showing, like a lot of showing, because we're not super deep in retail. We're not on the ground doing demos. We're trying to like really broaden our Amazon reach and our direct to consumer reach because our product is so dynamic. The elasticity of a shelf stable ice cream mix is so profound. I'm so sorry about the noise, guys. Is that we can be anywhere. We could be online, we could be in store, we could be in a gift box, we could be on a stocking like for Christmas that none of the other traditional brands could be in. And so that's super good for us. But on the other hand, it's us showing people, much like a baking mix, you can make ice cream this way. And this is how you do it. And wrap their heads around not dipping into the freezer in the grocery store and going into the baking aisle and getting a pint of ice cream, right? That's the hurdle we have to get over.
How are you distributing some of that messaging? Like what channels have been effective for you in getting that message across?
Well, for the first year, and full transparency, we've only been around for a year and a half. So for the first year, last year, we'd all just been doing it online. We've been on social media. We had no money for paid ads. So it was literally me and Kelly doing demos like on Instagram, on TikTok, not trying to go viral, but just trying to create some sort of community there. But now that we have a little bit more, we just finished up a Kickstarter. We're going to spend some money in influencers, and then we're going to do paid ads on Amazon, and we'll dig deep a little bit into paid ads on Meta and Google to see if we can sort of like find a sweet spot there. So that's how we plan on doing that. Other than that, we don't have $1 million a month to shell out on marketing, so we have to be really strategic. And our goal is to build a community around ice cream lovers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious too, just because this product again is like so innovative and kind of creating its own category, who is the demo? Is this like for parents and kids? Is it?
Yeah, our target audience are millennial parents with children from 4 to 12, because let's be real, those are the same people. That's me. I'm big. If I have to bake another batch of cookies, I'll go and say we're the parents that are making all the cookies and the brownies and the cupcakes. So I want you now, mother of 3 in Ohio, to make ice cream with the kids. So it's just like an add-on to what they're already doing. You know what I mean? So we've started there. And maybe it could be you, Jenna. I don't know if you're married with kids, but let's just say you're not. You have a husband with no kids. Maybe you want to do date night. It's, we're working to get our way into like a large, like a home chefs of the world, and be the portion, the dessert portion, where after you make that pan crusted flounder, now you can make strawberry ice cream or chocolate ice cream and add all the things you want to it. Make a cherry Garcia, make a cookies and cream, make mint chocolate chip. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
I love that. And I partly asked that because I think part of your challenge could be solved with like some interesting partnerships. And so it's always interesting to hear what demo you're targeting so that we can think about other brands that maybe we want to put you in contact with who are trying to reach a similar demographic. So for anyone
funny you should bring that up, because we're looking for a brand that we could work with, that, in our packet of mix, maybe we drop in a little packet of chocolate chips in there. Maybe we drop in a packet of cookie dough. So now, you have a chocolate chips and chocolate milk and cookies, or I don't mean to be so Ben and Jerry's, but, a cherry Garcia, make custom limited edition flavors that we put out there, and people just, when it's done, it's done. For the holidays, we're thinking of gingerbread, and, if we can partner with like-minded brands, smaller brands, larger brands, that would be great. Yeah.
I love that. I think there's like a whole shelf-stable package you could do of like the most innovative ice cream flavors with other shelf-stable brands. So wanted to get that out there into the stratosphere. I'm very excited about your product. All right, Melissa, what challenge are you currently facing, and are there connections that could help you?
Well, first of all, I have to say, I have some sourdough breadcrumbs that go great on ice cream. So, Shelly, I feel like this could be a really good
Oh
combo.
yes, give me one.
I actually, that's like one of my favorite little like treats, ice cream with some sourdough breadcrumbs. So good. I think for me, on the theme of production is kind of where my biggest struggle is right now. I'm producing like in-house. So it's right now I'm at that point where I'm trying to decide, is it possible for me to continue to grow producing myself, or if I'm going to look for a co-manufacturer to kind of get to the next level in the midterms, in the medium term, before I can really invest in a bigger facility, a facility of my own, because I right now rent from another brand, and that's where I'm producing. So it's very much figuring out that kind of co-manufacturer question, and the benefits, and if I'm open to kind of taking away some control over the product. And so I think thinking through that problem has been a lot of my time and a lot of my kind of back and forth, but then also just the process of finding options. One would think crackers, people have been making crackers all the time. That's like not that hard. Turns out it's actually kind of hard to find a larger scale manufacturer for sourdough crackers. So that's the area where I'm probably spending the most time struggling with finding the answer and knowing exactly where I should go next. And it's going to really kind of determine where the next kind of steps of my company go overall. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's obviously, I think, a challenge that a lot of people face early on. I'm really interested, though, in that piece that you were saying that obviously people have been making crackers forever, but sourdough is
Yeah.
somehow a little more challenging. Can you explain that nuance and why that's more challenging for a co-manufacturer?
Yeah, of course. So a lot of the sourdough that you see out there is actually not real sourdough. So when you go to a grocery store, some of the larger manufacturer, they're actually just using lactic acid that tastes like sourdough, but it's not that natural deliciousness of sourdough. And it also doesn't give you the benefits of sourdough, where it's easier on your stomach. So uh, some of those manufacturers are really doing a disservice to sourdough as a concept overall. But we don't need to talk too much about that. But basically, because it's a real mother or starter that I'm using in my crackers, you have to maintain the starter and continue to grow it and continue to create starter in order to create more sourdough crisps. And that's what really makes it so delicious. And that's what really makes it differentiated. So if it was easy to do, it would already be there because they are really good. So I'm not shying away from the challenge, but I'm realizing it's more of a challenge than I necessarily thought it would be, even coming from the world of food in my previous work. So I don't know if that totally answers your question, but
It
yeah.
does, and now I'm like so fascinated in this sourdough problem. I'm digging deep into my like pandemic knowledge of sourdough starters, and I'm like, okay, this does make sense because there's something that you have to keep alive during this process. But very
Mhm.
fascinating that brands are using lactic acid to mimic the flavor. I think that's really interesting. So we all learned
Yeah.
something new today.
Yeah, and if you want to geek out more on sourdough, I can talk about it all day long, so it won't take more time. But they're actually they regulate it in Europe, but they don't regulate it in the US. So if you're in Europe, you're probably okay.
Wow, that is so interesting. And not the first thing that's regulated in Europe and not regulated here.
Yeah.
Um,
Or they're either starting to regulate it, or there's some
mhm.
regulation that's happening in
Wow.
Europe.
Okay, maybe we should start a sourdough petition. I feel passionately about this subject. I'm gonna skip ahead a few questions because I want to make sure we get to some of the juicier ones before Melissa. I know you have to hop. So I would love to start with one of my favorite questions, which is if you could automate one process in your business right now, or just never think about it again, what would it be and why? And again, Monica, I can have you answer for yourself and also like what you're seeing in the brands that you speak to, and you can kick us off.
I actually don't have an answer for this.
Ooh, okay, you don't have to.
I mean, I will say it seems like a lot of brands are sort of hands-on, like doing the manufacturing, self-manufacturing route versus working with co-packers. I think a lot of brands are deciding, even though it's a capital-intensive business and you're somehow responsible for both marketing and then also manufacturing. So it's just very time-consuming overall and resource-intensive. I'm sure that there's a lot that can be said for automating certain parts of those processes so you can focus on the sales and marketing aspects of the business, especially if you're a one-woman show like Melissa. So that's, I guess, the only thing I can contribute to that question.
Shelly, what about you? What's one thing you wish you could automate right now?
We have a co-manufacturer, so I don't too much worry about that. But we do our own fulfillment, and so it's quite the task when we have pallets to pack up, and we have to coordinate logistics. I think I would love to hand that off to a 3PL one day. We're not there yet, but I would love to because it's quite labor intensive. So I would love that to pass that off to someone very, very close in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like such a headache. And Melissa, I guess you kind of answered it already.
Yeah.
But if there's something else that pops up in your day to day.
Yeah, I mean, definitely production, or at least parts of production. I would love to have it more automated. I think having things made by hand is really valuable for me right now, but I don't need to be quite as made by hand as I am right now. And so I think beyond production, I think a lot of the things that I don't have time for are things I'd want to automate, or like if I could just take my ideas from my head on email marketing and it could just happen, wouldn't that be incredible? I know there's a lot of work
Totally
I have
agree
to
with
do
that one.
into it. I never spend time on email marketing because I prioritize social, and I think that's somewhere I'm really losing out because it just hasn't been a priority for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think that balance of like, where do I spend my time and energy, let alone dollars, in the marketing channel is one of the biggest challenges that founders are facing. So I hear that for sure. I would love to hear what you're all looking forward to in June. And hopefully, Monica, this is something that you can answer. I know we were all talking about fancy food earlier. So if maybe you have some thoughts around like what you're expecting to see there, or in general, just like what is exciting you about this upcoming month. And we'll start with you again, Monica.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, summer fancy food is my answer for that question. I always look forward to that show. As far as trends or what I expect to see there, I think it might probably be a continuation of some of the trends that we saw at Expo East and Expo West and Winter Fancy Show. So a lot of activity in the mocktail space, which I know you covered really well in the last Spotlight issue. Functional ingredients, things to help people manage their brain health or digestive health, or other health issues that they're looking to address. And then I guess I've been really interested in some of the things that we've seen around like co-branding and licensing and collaborations. And so I'm hoping to see some more of that.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Is there one that was exciting for you that has already launched that you can speak about?
Well, I don't. I mean, there've been so many. The recent examples aren't really in the specialty or emerging category, but one of my colleagues went to the Sweets and Snacks Expo last week. Was it last week? Sometime in May. And a couple of the examples that she noted in her coverage were Sprite flavored Tic Tacs, which is a continuation of a partnership with Ferrero and Coca-Cola. They have Coca-Cola flavored Tic Tacs. So this is like just, an additional SKU there. And then PepsiCo and Link Snacks did like a Doritos inspired Jack Link's beef jerky, which I'm not sure how that works, but those are some of the more interesting examples that I saw through just from the coverage from Sweets and Snacks.
I certainly was not expecting you to say any innovation in the TikTok realm, but that is hilarious and exciting. And I do love, like, we talk about startup brands all the time, but it's really interesting to hear what these big folks are doing. I think oftentimes it trickles down into the startup realm or trickles up.
Trickles up.
Yeah. So it's always fascinating to kind of see the interplay. So actually, I love staying up to date on what's going on with those big name brands. So thank you for keeping us in the loop, because I certainly don't stay in the loop. Shelly, what are you looking forward to in June?
We're launching our pints in June. So no longer you're gonna have a pint to put your ice cream back into. It's launching on Monday, and it's gonna be super busy for us. Chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. And we can't wait. Hopefully the market loves it. They don't throw up all over it, and we have a great launch.
I love that. That's so fun. So how will it come? Like, you buy the typical
So
product.
in the pint will be a packet of mix. You pull it out like like a Jello box.
Mhm.
You pull out the mix, add it to a bowl with half and half, and whip it up on high speed for 5 minutes. And then at that point you can add chocolate chips, marshmallows, whatever. Pour it back into the pint, freeze it, and then eat your ice cream. And then on the top you can write the name of your ice cream. It says, "Hello, my name is," what flavor it is, and you write the name. So yeah.
That is so fun. I love that. And it really adds this element of, like, professionality to something that you made at home. I think that's so,
I know, right?
like, you'd be the coolest dinner guest ever if you came with your own ice cream in its own pint. So that's awesome. And Melissa, I know you have to hop. So really quickly, what are you looking forward to in June?
Yeah. Shelly, congrats on that. That looks
Oh,
amazing.
thank you. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to a partnership with a cheese brand that I'm really excited about, a vegan cheese brand that we met very organically, and I just am really excited to work with them. And I love their products, and so I feel like it's great when you can partner with other smaller brands or slightly bigger brands and genuinely love each other's products and feel excited to work together. So that's what I'm excited for in June. They'll be serving some cheeses on my sourdough crisps. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be a great partnership. So we'll see.
That's so exciting. I can't wait to try it, because your crisps are born for cheese. Like, they're just the perfect dipper, or yeah, I'm just excited. Great.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to keep Monica and Shelly on for like 2 more questions, but thank you so much for joining us, Melissa, and for educating us on sourdough today. And we will see you around the Slack.
Sounds great. Nice to meet you all. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. So we'll keep going just with you both for a little bit longer, because I'm so excited to have you both on here. So I'd love to hear where you're both finding joy these days. This is one of my favorite questions, because there's a lot of, like, oh my God, we have so many challenges. There's so many struggles in this industry, but, like, what's bringing you happiness right now? So Monica, we'll start with you.
Okay, this is kind of embarrassing, but my first career aspiration was to be a romance novelist. So if I weren't writing about CPG, I would be doing that. And lately, I just kind of got on this kick of reading these, like, steamy, like, not very well written romance novels.
They're your beach reads.
They're beach reads, but they're it's a nice sort of, I guess, it's just nice to sort of escape, I guess, and read something that you don't have to think so hard about. It's just been kind of a different change of pace for me. So it's been fun to rediscover my love of that.
I love that. And what about also within the industry? Like, is there something that is bringing you joy these days? Something that you're learning from these days, like a podcast or more reading?
Within the industry, so I mean, there's a lot of things that bring me joy in terms of not so much in terms of content, but in terms of just eating. So
relatable.
I mean, I want to give a plug just because I just did it today, and I saw Christopher on the leave a comment. It's National Donut Day, and his brand, Good Journey Donuts, which we tried together at the Startup CPG.
So good. They are so good.
So good. Yeah. So those went on sale today for pre-order, and I scooped them up. So that's something I'm really excited about, is these donuts that are coming in the mail in about a month or so.
I love in a month or so, you will be very excited. That's always fun when there's like a little bit of built-in buffer time that you'll forget about it, and then it'll come and it'll be like the best surprise.
It's like
Happening
finding money in your pocket that you forgot about or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's really exciting. Good Journey is awesome. And congrats on their launch, I guess, if Christopher is still in here and watching. Shelly, what about you? Where are you finding joy both in and out of the industry these days?
Well, this morning I gave each of my daughter's kindergarten class one of these because I'm doing a product research with the class. I mean, their parents are my customers, right? So they all loved it, all 20 of them, and they all hugged me and said, I'm the ice cream lady. So I take joy in that. They think Ella's mother has the best career out of everyone. Meanwhile, everyone else are lawyers and doctors. Ella's mother sells ice cream. I'm the ice cream lady.
She's going to be so popular.
Right? But outside of that, I'm beginning to realize that people are noticing the brand and the concept. And so we have something big coming up. I can't say what it is, but we have something huge coming up that we're taping for in June. And it just shows they reached out to us because they thought the product was so novel. And I value that because I realized like all the blood, sweat, and tears over the last 2 years during COVID is amounting to something. So I'm finding joy in the fact that people are starting to reach out to us for, collabs, podcasts, and understanding, this is kind of a new category. And while it's difficult, it's exciting. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. That role reversal from going to always being the person who's like cold calling, doing all the outreach to finally getting that validation back must be a huge relief and also so exciting. I can't imagine. That's just like such a huge moment of growth and very clear.
Yeah, exactly. And some sort of like semi quasi validation.
Yeah, no, real validation.
Yeah.
I would argue. Those were all of my questions, but if there's anything that I didn't touch on that either of you want to chat about within this emerging CPG space, go ahead. Melissa, do you have any final, Melissa left. Monica, do you have any final thoughts on what's going on in this space right now, how you're feeling about the industry, overall vibes?
Actually, I had a question for Shelly.
Ooh, go for it.
Crowdfunding earlier, and you just completed a successful crowdfunding round, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. We did a Kickstarter in last month. We were trying to make 50 and we came out of 21. But that's helping us with these because these were launching and everyone's gonna get their ice cream in July. It's time for National Ice Cream Month. But I would love. Do I need an investor? Yes. Am I ready? Because we haven't really gotten product market fit yet. But I would love to to start thinking about going out for funding for us to get to the next level because we're quite dynamic, right? I'm trying to stay away from retail as long as I can because I want to build up Amazon. I want to build up online because we can be there and do well there. But once we do go into retail, I think we're going to need way more money. And that's when little Kickstarters won't be enough for us. So, yeah, but we did have a successful Kickstarter and we had some good feedback.
Well, congrats. That's really amazing. Yeah, I think, again, that's like another major pivot point of like, when are we doing just crowdfunding versus starting to get, your first seed round, really getting into that VC space it's hard to know like when's the right time to do either. But I feel like after this major launch, you'll have a better gauge.
Yeah.
Well, that's super exciting. Anything else
Thank you.
either of you? Any closing thoughts? No? Well, thank you both so much for taking the time. And thank you to Melissa who already left. But it's so wonderful to chat a little bit more casually about what's going on in this space away from all of the serious and scary podcasts and articles and whatever that's going on. I love to just hear how everyone's doing and some fun little updates. So I appreciate you for joining. Monica, thank you for being our special guest. Your insights are always so wonderful. And you bring such great perspective to these conversations. So thank you. And everyone support Truce Groups as you launch your new product. I'm so excited for you.
Monica, if you want to write about astronaut ice cream, please let me know. I'll give you the information that you need.
Let's talk.
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing.
Thank you guys.
Bye.